enmity. People who called to complain without identifying themselves were cowards. Meet me in the street, Jake would roar at the caller. Man or woman, as he slammed down the receiver.
This was written from one day in your life.
He had once written a column about the telephone. Can you read it?
Yeah. No.
The main folly of the instrument is that it foreshortens time in a way the Creator never intended. It gives a man no time to think.
Logical.
Consider the poor man who receives a telephone call informing him that his mother-in-law has died suddenly and tragically, and rushes to the rooftop of his house and flings himself off in a fit of grief. Had he more time to consider the matter, he might decide he was better off without her. There you go. Or might, happy day, learn that the dear woman had left him a sizable share of her estate. But the telephone was a necessary business evil. This morning, it had destroyed his plans for a nap. So I picked up the receiver. Jake, come home. Asked him, said another man.
That's Mama
Mama Bethany, obviously.
Presently, Jake answered. Now, she said, Lonnie's fallen in the creek. Who's Lonnie?
That's the boy. Continue reading.
What? Biscuit Brunson. Just brought him home. Shopping wet.
Nice
He
selection.
won't tell me anything. You'll have to come home and deal with it. I've got my hands full. There was a long pause. With what? Jake asked. The baby. Oh, another long pause. It's a girl. You can tell it's a Tibbetts. She's got a big mouth. Pastine hung up, and Jake put the earpiece on the hook and sat there staring at the telephone for a while, thinking about the man who threw himself off the roof of his house in agony over his mother-in-law. Then he got up, put on his coat, and headed for home. He was halfway down Partridge Road, arms swinging briskly, when Herschel Martin, Fogg's younger brother, who tended the banana tree in the courthouse lawn,
It gets crazy. That's why
came by in the Jitney Jungle Super Saver store delivery.
Good literature is what it
The
is.
longer you read, the more it makes
Three-wheeled pedal contraption with a big wooden bin behind the seat where Herschel carried sacks and boxes of groceries. Herschel had found his place in life. He knew where every soul in town lived, and he was single-mindedly faithful about delivering groceries from George Paulus's store. Winter and summer, he wore a red baseball cap with white letters USN on the front. And another brother, Carlton, had sent from the carrier Midway in the Pacific. This morning, he was well bundled. This must take place in the 40s. He was well bundled against the cold in a flannel jacket, earmuffs, and a pair of rubber fishing boots that came halfway up his thigh. Hey, Jake, he called.
Grandpa's reading.
As he pulled alongside. We can stop anytime.
No, not to get to the end of the section.
Pumping hard on the pedals. This has been edited by
Let's finish the Christmas passage reading.
the rubber boots squeaking in rhythm at the pedals. That Hitler, he's a dumb individual.
Individual.
Where did you learn a word like that, Herschel? Jake asked without breaking stride.
Individual word.
Herschel slowed to watch Jake's speed and rode alongside him. Heard it from Fogg, he said. Fogg's all the time saying stuff like that. Shoot, he thinks I'm crazy and don't pay no attention. Him and his buddies, you know. Nuts, I ain't crazy. I'm a little slow, you know, Jake. Maybe not even that, Jake said. Biscuit Brunson, he helped me work it all out. I'm lost, man. He's been a help to me, you know. Biscuit Brunson, he says I got plenty of sense, lest I wouldn't be able to find everybody's house, you know. Biscuit Brunson, he says, I'm making a worthwhile contribution to the world. He says if a fellow's making a worthwhile contribution, he can't be crazy, you know. Well, who told you were a little slow? Biscuit? Herschel nodded vigorously. Biscuit. He says if I wasn't a little slow, I'd be off fighting. Anyway, Hitler, he's a dumb, mean person.
Dumb mean.
Well said.
Well said. Well said. But is he an
I guess
individual?
you're right, Herschel. Are we done yet?
No.
Herschel,
Does it say the end?
How much more is there? I can't wait.
Several pages.
Herschel stopped pulled over the side of the road. Ain't going no place now, I'm out of gas. It was a favorite. Jake stopped, walked over to the delivery site.
Talking about
Pretended to pour gasoline from an imaginary can into Herschel's imaginary tank.
See?
Why is it, Jake asked, that you're always running out of gas when your big brother wants the service station? Tell me that, Herschel. Heavenly days, Herschel asked. It's the war, Jake. Don't you know there's gas rationing? I don't have a car, Jake said. Well, there's a war on, Herschel said. They're sending most of the gasoline overseas, you know. Everybody gets a little, but not enough to get them where they're going. And Fogg, he don't play no favorites, you know. Funny thing about it, though, can't nobody find enough gas to get where they're going, but they always got a little extra for old Herschel. Figure that. And he pedaled off, pumping madly. Where you going with the groceries? Jake called after him. Your place. Got lots of stuff for the new baby. Hey, you know Hitler? He's a dumb jerk. What? Herschel fell back, and then he'd gone around the big curve out of sight. So the story was out. If Herschel Martin knew, then George Poulos knew. I'm lost. Pastine and I on Christmas morning to fill an emergency order.
Memories fade, don't they, Dad?
And if George Poulos and Herschel Martin knew, the whole town would soon know, because news like a new baby at Jake Tibbetts' house would travel like a lotus storm. Bless the
Just like a lotus storm.
Just like a lotus storm.
That's pretty funny. Isn't that funny? Isn't it very funny? By the time Jake reached the house, Herschel had the groceries stacked neatly on the sideboard next to the sink. He was sitting on the kitchen table, nursing a steaming cup of coffee. Biscuit Brunson was sitting across from him, looking rumpled and frazzled, a cup of coffee untouched on the table in front of him. And Lonnie was in a chair next to the stove, swaddled in blankets, feet stuck in a tub of hot water, hair tousled and damp. The smell of Vicks Vapor Rub was strong in the room. Ollie Whittle
New character.
was muttering on the Atwater counter. At this season of unbundled, bounded joy and universal hope, the management of Redlinger's White Angel Funeral want to thank you for your patronage. Upstairs, Jake could hear the baby squalling her head off. So I skip a couple pages.
No. There's a lot of good parts that you missed.
Jake stood in the doorway looking at them from there. Lonnie ducked his head and stared at Jake. You look like you've been out all night, Jake. Jake nodded. Then he heard Pastine tromping down the stairs behind him. She had a big armload of blood-stained towels and sheets. Pastine looked afraid about the edges. Wisps of graying brown hair escaped from her tight bun and floated about her head and face. She shot Jake a murderous look. Get some more coffee, she said, brusting by him. She crossed the kitchen and opened the back door, letting in a blast of cold air, and dumped the linen on the back porch. Lonnie stared. Well, don't just stand there, she said, turning back to Jake, hands on hips. We need a fresh pot of coffee. And when you get through with that, see if you can figure out what Mr. Crazy Horse has been up to. Where'd all these characters come from?
They're just leaking in all over.
She pointed out Lonnie.
2010 brings in a lot of good ones.
So grimace. Tell him what happened, Biscuit. And she stamped out, leaving the kitchen, shoulder in her wake. Upstairs, the baby was making the air dance with her ball. Well, Biscuit started to say. What's all the blood for, Lonnie interrupted. That's from the baby, Herschel Martin said. Babies come with lots of extra blood, you know. That's what Doc Ainsworth told me when George Poulos' wife had her last one. Babies, shut up, she said. All right, Herschel said. But that Hitler is one dumb...
We're going to have to take a brief
Poopy,
intermission here.
Dad, if you ask me.
Fortunately, this will be on the YouTube in 5 minutes.
Don't you have more deliveries to make?
I think you mean, oh, yes.
This is the only one.